You know, there's something I've been thinking about lately, something that doesn't get talked about enough, especially at the age of 90s. It's about how much we give, our time, our energy, even our money, and how, looking back, many of us wish we'd been a little more careful with it. Now, don't get me wrong. Kindness is one of the most beautiful things about being human. But here's the truth. Giving too much, without boundaries, can leave us feeling drained, taken advantage of, even regretful. And at 90 years young, none of us want to look back and think, I wish I'd saved more for myself. So today, let's talk about 5 important lessons. Lessons so many wise folks like you have learned the hard way. About protecting what's yours. Your time, your energy, your money. Because you've earned the right to enjoy your years without feeling like you're always pouring into everyone else's cup while yours runs dry. Now, the first lesson is one that might feel a little uncomfortable at first, but stick with me. It's okay to say no. In fact, it's more than okay. It's necessary. Think about it. How many times have you said yes when you really wanted to say no? Maybe it was a family member asking for money, or a friend needing a favor that left you exhausted. We do it out of love, out of duty, sometimes even out of guilt. But here's the thing. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you're giving away a piece of your peace. I remember a woman named Evelyn who told me she spent years driving her grandkids to school, even when her arthritis made it painful. She never complained, never asked for help, until one day she realized no one had ever even offered to take over. They just assumed she would always do it. That's the danger of never setting boundaries. People start to expect it, and before you know it, you're running on empty. So how do you start saying no? It doesn't have to be harsh. A simple, I'd love to help but I just can't right now, is enough. You don't owe anyone a long explanation. Your energy is precious, and it's yours to spend how you choose. Now, the second lesson ties right into this. Not everyone deserves your kindness. That might sound a little tough, but hear me out. Kindness is a gift, not an obligation. And some people, whether they mean to or not, will take advantage of it. Maybe it's the neighbor who always seems to forget to pay you back for groceries, or the relative who only calls when they need something. You've probably met someone like this in your life. The problem isn't that you're kind, it's that they're not returning that kindness in the same way. And at this stage of life, you don't have time for one-sided relationships. Here's what I've learned. Real kindness doesn't mean letting people walk all over you. It means knowing who truly values you, and who's just there for what they can get. Pay attention to how people treat you when you can't give them anything. That's when you'll see their true colors. And that leads us right into the third lesson, which is all about money. Because let's face it, this is where many of us have felt the sharpest regrets. You know, when it comes to money, so many of us were raised to believe that sharing it, whether with family, friends, or even charities, was just what good people do. And that's true to an extent. But here's what nobody told us. Giving away too much can leave you vulnerable when you need it most. That's the third lesson. Your money is yours. Protect it like your future depends on it, because it does. I'll never forget a story my friend Harold shared with me. He'd spent years helping his grandson pay off student loans, then a car, then a down payment on a house. Harold never minded. He wanted to see his family thrive. But when his own health started declining and medical bills piled up, he realized he'd given away so much that he was now the one struggling. The hardest part? His grandson never even thought to offer help in return. Now, Harold's grandson isn't a bad person. But here's the uncomfortable truth. When we're too generous without limits, we teach people to expect it, not appreciate it. And at 90, you deserve financial peace, not worry. So what can you do? First, get comfortable saying, "Let me think about it," before handing over money. Second, if you do choose to help, set clear terms. Maybe it's a one-time gift, not an open-ended promise. And most importantly, never dip into savings you might need later. Your security matters just as much as anyone else's. Now, the fourth lesson is one that might surprise you. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is not help. Wait, does that sound contradictory? Let me explain. There's a difference between helping someone and enabling them. Enabling is when we do so much for others that they never learn to do for themselves. Think of the adult child who's always in a tight spot because they know you'll bail them out. Or the friend who constantly leans on you emotionally but never takes steps to improve their own situation. Every time we rescue someone from a problem they could solve themselves, we're robbing them of the chance to grow. And we're draining ourselves in the process. I remember a woman named Rose who paid her nephew's rent for years because she felt guilty. His parents had passed, and she wanted to be there for him. But one day, she stopped. It wasn't easy, but she realized she wasn't helping him. She was keeping him stuck. And you know what? Within 6 months, that nephew found a better job. He'd just never had to before. Real kindness isn't about fixing everything for everyone. It's about knowing when to step back so others can step up. And that brings us to the fifth and final lesson, one that ties everything together. You've lived long enough to know this. Life has a way of teaching us the same lessons until we finally learn them. And if there's one thing I've heard over and over from people like you, people who've spent decades giving their all, it's this: you can't pour from an empty cup. That's the fifth lesson, and in many ways, it's the most important. Because no matter how much love, money, or energy you have to give, none of it matters if you're running on fumes. Think about it like this. When you're on an airplane, they always tell you to put on your own oxygen mask first before helping others. That's not selfish. It's survival. If you pass out from lack of air, you can't help anyone. The same is true in life. When you neglect your own needs, whether it's rest, financial security, or simple peace of mind, you eventually reach a point where you have nothing left to give. I think of my friend Martha, who spent years caring for her ailing husband. She refused all help, insisting she could handle it alone, until one day, she collapsed from exhaustion. Only then did she realize, by refusing to take breaks or accept support, she'd made herself unable to care for him at all. That's the irony, isn't it? We think we're being strong by pushing through, but real strength is knowing when to say, I matter too. So how do you start filling your cup? It doesn't have to be dramatic. Maybe it's setting aside 30 minutes a day just for you. To read, to nap, to sit quietly with your thoughts. Maybe it's finally spending some of that money you've been saving for emergencies on something that brings you joy today. Or maybe it's simply giving yourself permission to say, not this time, without guilt. Because here's the truth. The people who truly love you don't want you to sacrifice yourself for them. They want you to be happy, healthy, and at peace. And if someone only values you for what you can give them, that's not love. That's an unpaid job you never applied for. So as we wrap up, let's bring it all together. 1. It's okay to say no. Your time and energy belong to you first. 2. Not everyone deserves your kindness. Protect it like the gift it is. 3. Your money is yours. Secure your future before funding someone else's present. 4. Sometimes the kindest act is stepping back. Let others grow stronger. 5. And above all, fill your own cup. You can't give what you don't have. These aren't just lessons about boundaries. They're lessons about living your remaining years with dignity, joy, and intention. You've spent a lifetime giving. Now it's your turn to receive. So tell me in the comments, which of these lessons resonates most with you? What's one small way you'll start protecting your time, energy, or money this week? Let's learn from each other. And if this video spoke to you, hit that like button. It helps others find these conversations too. Don't forget to subscribe for more honest talks about thriving at every age. Remember, Growing older isn't just about adding years to your life. It's about adding life to your years, on your terms. Here's to making the most of every single day you've earned. Until next time, take good care of yourself. You're worth it.